Good afternoon. I'm Connor Exum of the Leon Trotsky Revolutionary Newsletter and Podcast, and I'm joined today by our favorite guest about AI, Jeff Thomas Black, author, civil rights activist, and who's you can read his new work, The Full Dash Closure, at his Substack, Jeff Thomas Black Substack. Good
Thank you.
afternoon. So today I wanted to talk to you about the new trend in AI. Seems to be that people are finally saying that maybe this doesn't work the way we thought it will.
That's right.
But at the same time, they're still saying that it's taking over. It seems that we have this new thing. Well, it's not working right. We have studies from Stanford that show that Chat GTP 3.5 and 4.0 have distinctly different learning patterns, and 4.0 seems to be learning at a rate that is not equivalent to the 3.5 version or as effective. It's getting, to put it simply, dumber over time.
Right.
So what are your thoughts on that?
So there's a couple different things. I mean, first of all, the biggest mental transition people have to make is thinking about the physical world. Everything they've ever sensed, known, learned, is in this physical world. So trying to understand, it's not intelligence, that's a lie. It's trying to understand computing power that is based upon human data. That's what artificial intelligence is. It's computing power based upon human data. And human data is a lot of things. It's biased, it's limited, it is oftentimes inaccurate. And in general, that AI uses human data as a weapon against humans. So this is all very scary stuff. Now, what does it mean in practicality? In practicality, things like OpenAI come up with their technology, and we've learned. I just wrote yesterday about the fact that the technology is they made a AI text checker, if you will, and that has been decommissioned by OpenAI because it wasn't really good at spotting what text was AI created or not. So what it's doing is it's just simulating the human data that it's taken in as an output based upon the request. So you can say that in a lot of human data, there's going to be a lot of errors. How does AI know what is good, accurate data and bad data? AI doesn't know. The system doesn't know. So all these different constraints are put in. And the reason that a more recent version of ChatGPT could be less accurate than a past version is that this is creating a simulation. And so every time you change it, there's a new constraint. And that new constraint then changes all of this black box AI that spits out one little output. And they call it black box AI because it has a two-pronged impossibility scenario. One, it's ununderstandable. You couldn't understand it even if you were the creator and or programmer and or inventor. And number two, even if somebody could potentially understand it, they couldn't explain it. So we're up a creek without a paddle as far as a human species when this stuff is used against us. And that's where, so this is where the dichotomy comes in. There's really two different kinds of AI in the world today. One that is mimicking human behavior, whether it be the type that the Screen Actors Guild is striking about, that it could take my image and use our conversation, and then it could simulate me yakking at you for the rest of eternity very accurately. That's one kind, right? Another kind would be the kind that Stanford students and other students use to write their term papers, that you're giving it all kinds of stuff. And so that's an output for a specific thing. A marketing company could use it to allegedly start a marketing campaign and tweet and Facebook post and all that stuff. So those things are all mimicking human behavior. You can ask yourself, is that replacing humans or is that assisting humans? That's another question we can ask ourselves philosophically. Now, the most dangerous element, or the most dangerous kind of AI, is the kind of AI that nobody talks about except for me, The reason I call myself an author these days is I have a book. You can read the first 4 chapters online on Substack called Full Dash Closure. And Full Dash Closure details over 3 years of my research and 5,521 deliveries for DoorDash, how the gig economy system is a lie. It's the only economy, stupid. There is no gig economy. The gig economy is a creation that was made because corporate AI was invented, and they thought, well, if we can use this against people, we need new rules. So we have to create a new category, a new economy where we can use corporate AI to destroy humanity. And that's what Tony Xu at DoorDash does. That's what all these scumbags at Uber and Lyft and all over the world are doing. These are the worst people in the world. This is, I'm reading more and more, people are comparing AI to a nuclear bomb. But again, they're comparing the wrong kind of AI to a nuclear bomb. Corporate AI that's using your data against you, like Kroger does, like DoorDash does, like Uber does, like Amazon does, like all of these different companies do. That is the risk to you, because the vast majority of humans that are using corporate AI that manipulates, gaslights, and enslaves them don't even know they're in a simulated world. That's how real it is when you access it from one of these devices here, a cell phone. When you access it here, you're not getting real information. You're getting not even like a Chat GPT search of the internet. You're getting a little teeny tiny search of whatever the corporate AI is serving up to you as your reality. So let's use DoorDash for the example, right? If DoorDash is serving you up as your reality, a little mini marketplace, by the way, they control both the supply and the demand of drivers. They control every part of this game world, gamified, insane little app. But you don't know that because they isolate consumers in the little consumer app. They isolate drivers in the little driver app. And then they isolate restaurants with corporate marketing who are going to fleece them and put them out of business so that they can pump up McDonald's and Burger King. So you've got those three different constituencies. The reason they use apps is this is vertically isolated. One can't talk to each other. It's anonymized human beings. And so our ability to collectively even understand reality is off. We don't even understand reality. We're playing Mario Kart in DoorDash, and we think we're playing in the real world. No matter what move you make in Mario Kart, you may be the world champion Mario Kart racer. You're still not driving a car in the real world. No matter what you do in DoorDash, no matter how much money is served up to you, and it will be the amount that the corporate AI wants to serve up to you for that specific task and time, it's not real. You can't make it real. And so this whole independent contractor category was reclassified from people that did real independent contracting, like building houses and
now you're talking about specifically here, I believe, California Proposition 22.
Well, everywhere in the country is going through this right now. States are going through it individually because the federal government has no labor secretary and no balls, and they don't care about you. So,
but I'm just saying, but that I mean, we're doing it at state level because that is the best benefit for corporations.
Let's put it this way. It is being attempted at the state level in vain. It cannot succeed because legislators are part of that ignorant mass that don't know that the gig economy is not real. That's how dumb they are. These people should have staffs. They should be reading my work because it gets sent to them all the time. They should be reading about corporate AI and what it really is, except they're paid hundreds of millions of dollars not to read and not to know, right? This is a scam on poor people, and poor people are acceptable victims. So the legislators and other people, even Democrats, veto stuff because they can't look away.
True, but let's go back to a real world example and Proposition 22 from California. That started out as a pretty strong law as UB5.
Well, okay, so yes, it started out as a law that was not
and it broke up.
Let's just put it this way. That law would have made the gig app perpetrators in California out of business. That law and the gig economy scam were incompatible. So what the gig economy corporate cabal did was they spent, I think, over $200 million in
$186 million.
California. $186 million. There you go. In California to rewrite a law for themselves and get it passed by voters and then sell it to people as an improvement as the way that they're going to keep this gig economy beneficial industry going for them. So,
and they also frightened a lot of small business owners with it, with the idea that somehow they were going to be, their employees were going to be classified as independent contractors, or if they were an independent contractor.
Look,
and it was so pervasive that even, you know, podcasters like Jimmy Dore mislabeled it, I don't know, on purpose or because he doesn't do any research, which is my theory.
App slaves regularly advocate for their own continued slavery because they don't even know what they're doing. All they know from this app is that riding around in their car, even being gaslighted by an app, is better than working for the asshole boss for the shitty wages and at the horrible company that they've been at. So one of the reasons the gig economy is there because of desperation. And so people that get into the gig economy know they're not making acceptable wages, but they're also out of the workforce. Nobody wants to hire them. Nobody values their skills. They're a lower caste. They are ruining their car. Their family knows that they're working 7 days a week to even get by and claim they're making money, right? This is a trap. And so the slaves, the app slaves in the trap, are right now, just like legislators, just like other people, they're advocating for this because they've been lied to by corporate America, by DoorDash. What they've been told is that this is flexible opportunity. The reality is that it is inflexible app slavery. Everything that is happening is being controlled, and the pay and conditions and safety and every part of the gig economy industry has been rapidly dropping through the floor. If you read about it or watch any of the gig app content creators, this industry is falling apart because it's not a legitimate business model. It only came to prominence outside of major cities that were very dense and very wealthy because of the pandemic. The pandemic made it possible for suburbs and smaller cities and even rural places to start this scam because people were all shut up. But that was a short-term opportunity. Now the jig is up. We know that this is not a viable business model. We're all past the shutdown and the limited travel phases now, and so this has a real problem. So let's get back to the legislation. It is impossible to legislate corporate AI. The only thing you could do to legislate corporate AI is the same thing you can do to legislate a slot machine. You can legislate the odds and the payout. That's what you can do. But see, the problem is,
there's one other option there. You could make the slot machine itself illegal.
Right. And well, this is less legal than a slot machine, because a slot machine, at least you know you're gambling. The app slaves that are being gamblified and gaslighted and destroyed by the gig economy don't even know that they're gambling, yet they're still addicted, yet it's still gamified. It has all of those elements, and it even has that intermittent reinforcement. So life can suck, and then they get one thing, they go, I got a banger, and then life is good again, and they forget all about that stuff.
It's just
a psychological game.
Yes, I was going to say that it's just like the lottery. You know, when you have when you're addicted to gambling, you only remember the wins, not all the losses.
Right. And you don't even calculate the losses. And most people working in the gig economy, they're using all their own assets and time and their risk and their insurance and their cell phones. And their
insurance doesn't cover everything.
Covered. Right. So they're getting fleeced. They're taking the full breadth of corporate risk upon impoverished app slaves with poor transportation. That sounds like a great deal, doesn't it? So they're taking all of this breadth of risk on behalf of a global corporation to make much, much, much less than minimum wage in their locality. In fact, some of them are losing money. It's very, very easy to lose money because all you have to do is get one small accident, one ticket, one car breakdown, and you will be in the negative. And this is how people get trapped, right? They have their one family automobile and they think they're going to Dash for 4 hours. Now they don't have any family automobile, and their insurance isn't going to cover them either, because most people are not properly insured to use their car. And the gig economy knows this too. The insurance industry knows this. Everybody knows this. But the gig economy runs around telling people that they drive, $1 trillion of economic impact around the globe. No, they're a parasite on trillions of dollars of economic activity around the globe. They do nothing. Basically, what they do is arbitrage. They acquire assets from a restaurant or from a store or whatever. They chew all these things up in this algorithm, and they get requests, and then they take all these assets that they've negotiated and they sell them through arbitrage with an intermediary that is not even known, right? The Dashers, they don't know them. They don't know their name. They don't employ them. They don't keep records on them.
Well,
they do not exist.
That's a critical element of the whole gig economy, is that the lack of knowing who actually is working for you.
Right. So this is where labor laundering and all kinds of scams and tax fraud and ID fraud and everything come in. So this is a global nightmare, right? But it's a global nightmare that is making oligarchs and corporations wealthy, like SoftBank, like worldwide billionaires, like Saudi Arabian royalty, like investors in China. That's who's running this global gig economy right here. And so we also have what we call app colonization, which is with this technology. Now, in 27 countries, DoorDash can enslave people on behalf of any dictator, any corporation, any nation. All you got to do is make sure those guys have a cell phone. You can threaten them with death if you turn it off. That's how good DoorDash's technology is. They'll track everything a worker does, and they'll make sure they're logged in. They'll make sure everything. I mean, think how powerful this technology is as it's used for evil. People don't know how evil this is. So let's go back to this arbitrage example so people really understand. Okay. 15 drivers and 15 restaurants or merchants would make over 1 trillion options. That's 15 factorial. So that's 15 times 14 times 13 times 12 on down the line to times 1. So that's over 1 trillion options. So again, let's go back to this arbitrage. This is not the real world. When I'm going to get a hamburger, I don't have 1 trillion options at Burger King. I don't. Okay. So at Burger King, I'm going to pick up a meal, but this has been pre-negotiated. This has been purchased on behalf of DoorDash procurement. Then this anonymous intermediary that isn't even on the books, right? They're not even on the DoorDash annual 10K report. There is no Dashers. They're an expense taken out before net income is reported. That's how insignificant and disassociated they are from any real world operations. So this invisible, probably or possibly criminal element then delivers this arbitrage package to a couple miles down the road, 5 miles down the road, 10 miles down the road, doesn't matter, then delivers it to a consumer that thinks that they're ordering online, but they're not ordering online. They're ordering from the DoorDash app, which is giving them specific options and then matching it. And so DoorDash is the ultimate corporate parasite, right? They're buying low with pre-negotiated deals with McDonald's, with everybody else, and they're taking huge percentages, 15, 25, or 30% from local merchants. McDonald's pays about 11.9%. So fair competition, right? So they are buying these items at a discounted rate, and then they're taken through arbitrage, and they're selling them down the road for a markup of like 60%. So right, for every $10 of food you buy, you're going to pay $16 to $20 to buy that food. The restaurant makes less profit. You've paid all the fees. The app slave in the middle makes almost nothing. And so DoorDash, out of every transaction, is taking like 42 cents of every local retailer transaction. So and what is DoorDash doing? Right? They're not delivering food. They're not feeding people. They're not making the world safe for the elderly or disabled. They're doing arbitrage from your local retailers to your local neighbors, and they're taking like 40 to 60% out of the economy. Who's going to survive that? This is not survivable.
No.
And look, DoorDash, if you read their annual report, they know too. Their number one business risk. What do you think their number one business risk is, Connor?
I think their number one business risk is probably either A, running out of potential drivers to exploit, or restaurants to crush.
Absolutely not. You're 0 for 2. Their number one business risk is regulation. They're running a literal fraud, and
they're worried about regulation.
Everybody knows it. And the only business risk, because remember, corporate AI is a rigged game. Yeah. They're going to win every time. The house always wins, like Vina Dubal's paper on gamification that won academic awards. It's called The House Always Wins. Wage discrimination through gamification, right?
Well, I would have figured that regulation, they had pretty much figured they had in the bag. They've been able to, like Uber's been able to utilize its services to take care of regulation pretty effectively, except for in Europe. In America, they have no problem bribing everybody they need. So I figured
but this is the problem: is that they're spending billions of dollars around the world as a global gig app cartel to deal with India's national government. Then in the United States, our national government whiffs on the whole thing. So it's some major states that have more aggressive district attorneys, like California, like New York. Colorado has gone through this. Minnesota went through it, and their Democratic governor vetoed it. Why do you think a Democratic governor vetoed a Democratic bill? Because you cannot put the gig economy out of business as a governor of one of the 50 states. Governors are not that powerful. If you think that one governor is going to put down DoorDash, you're wrong. New York is failing. Right now, New Hampshire is trying it. Colorado has a new legislator that is going to get the gig economy. They don't have a shot in hell. First of all, again, it is impossible to regulate a rigged game. The only thing you can regulate is the same way you can regulate a game machine. You can outlaw it. You can regulate the payout, right? And you can
make sure the odds are fair.
And you can regulate who's allowed to use it and under what conditions. But you can't regulate how the machine works, right? You can only give them the odds, and you don't know. And so there's all kinds of electronic games, right, that aren't even physical, like maybe a one-armed bandit, right? There's video poker. All of those things work on a gamified payout that is a percentage, and the house always wins. That's the gig economy, except the gig economy is so much worse, because they claim to be the infrastructure that brings your local economy to success, and in fact, they're the lack of infrastructure and the social nuclear bomb that will destroy your local.
Which is why I was saying that they're literally running out of space to grow.
That's why
developed countries.
That's why they acquired VoltApp from Finland, right? They got 23 more countries to add to the 4 that they had during the pandemic. So this is what app colonization is. Through app colonization, global gig app corporate cabal companies will be able to enslave and control people around the world, from right from San Jose, right from their own little AI corporate computing systems. They can be running workforces in Nigeria, running workforces and taking a percentage of the profits in India, taking a percentage of the profits in Australia and the UK, and every possible country you could think of. 27 nations is a lot of nations. And when they're going into those nations, again, their number one business risk is regulation. They go into those nations with a legal team whose head made, take a guess how much the legal head of DoorDash made last year. This is a great one. I love this.
I don't know. I can't. I probably. Well, I mean, what did he? Do you want to know what he declared?
Yeah. What the reported
or what he really got?
DoorDash income in the news stories for the chief executive counsel officer for DoorDash.
Probably 150 million.
Oh, you ruined it. It's 1 year. Almost 17 million.
Oh, that's it.
Almost
He
17 million.
he hasn't because I mean there's a lot of tech guys that are declaring, you know, I mean
Right, but this isn't a C-level guy. Now the C-level guys, Tony Hsu and the other founders, are selling their options right now and making hundreds of millions of dollars. That's happening.
Oh, okay.
Like,
so this guy was
right now.
I misunderstood.
This guy's just an employee. I mean, this guy's just
that's
a
still
player.
ridiculous. 117 million.
Well, but I mean, yeah, I would assume for general counsel, that's a lot of money. For general counsel job, that's a lot of money, right?
That is a lot of things he's
okay.
hiding.
So who is their head of government affairs? Their head of government affairs worked in the White House. Not a White House, the White House with the President of the United States. So their government affair person is a major heavy hitter on an international global governmental level. That is the level at which DoorDash is running their global scam, and they're running it fast and hard. Why are they running it fast and hard, Connor? Because scams end.
Yeah, I know. They're running out of space to do it.
They're running out of runway with the scam, right? People are figuring it out because no matter how good your algorithm and your AI, corporate AI and your gig app is, people start to figure out this doesn't correspond to the real world. And so the new trend in the gig economy, if you watch YouTube and all the people, is they get phones side by side and they go like, wait a minute, this phone says something different than this phone, and we're in the same place. Like, this is all a lie. This is all fake. And then I'm
I mean, they pass that off on all kinds of things, don't they? Like, this driver has a better rating, so
This is how they obfuscate reality and gaslight and deceive users. They also, which is a violation of any contract, much less an independent contract, do not provide known material information. So all the gig economy is based upon whether it's rideshare or last mile delivery like DoorDash. The gig economy, every offer made to an alleged independent contractor on corporate AI lacks one thing: material contractual information. So every contract is a fraud. How do you like that? And so the thing that will blow your mind, right? This is a world upside down. This is insanity. This is the idiocracy. Go watch the gig economy. Just put in DoorDash on YouTube and watch any video, and you're going to see real human beings trying to figure out how the world works in their algorithm and explain it to themselves and explain it to each other. And they're talking about all the little programs and what works and what doesn't work and how confused they are. It's wild, man. And they even have started to make entire different caste benefits around this. And this is part of the plan, right? There's banking for gig economy people. Why would you have banking for gig economy people? Guess why? Nobody will give you a loan. The gig economy is not a job. You can't get a house. You have no income history.
Right.
They're actually trying to build finance institutions so that app slaves around the United States can somehow prove to somebody that they have some kind of income coming in.
There's other advantages to this. I mean, this is just like having your own company store. I mean, now you can take their real assets and go spend them on real things that you haven't, and expand that and blow up the economy with bad derivatives based on your whatever you're selling.
That's right. And here's another example of how insidious it is. People may or may not know that Dollar General has an operations problem. Dollar General, their prices on the shelves and their prices when you go to ring out don't necessarily come out the same thing. Now, let's think of that from a DoorDash perspective, or from, let's say maybe other retailers might be doing this same thing, or DoorDash is doing the same thing to skim funds. So here's a scenario for you that'll curl your hair. So when you go into Dollar General, let's say you buy some candy bars, and instead of $1 that it shows on the shelf, when you go to ring it out, it's $1.25 plus tax. Well, that's really no big deal because a quarter isn't that much, and maybe if you rung out a few different things, you wouldn't even know the quarter. But since DoorDash is taking probably their deal with Dollar General, I'm just going to take a wild ass guess, they probably get 20% of the sale, and then they're getting another 15% from the consumer. So let's say out of that, that $1.25, now DoorDash's revenue from that transaction just went up from 40 cents to like 57 cents, right? And so multiply that by a billion deliveries. You see how this works? You see how the most
I know.
minor corporate fraud, and the same thing happens with inflation, by the way. Who does inflation benefit? Oh God, the gig economy. So if prices go up 15%, that's all going directly in the pocket of DoorDash and the gig economy.
You know what it reminds
coming
me of?
Out of the pocket of consumers.
You remember the movie Superman 3 where Richard Pryor is stealing all the half pennies out of the banks?
Right.
It's exactly the same scam.
Right. Oh, and the favorite, Office Space, right? The whole Office Space scam that
they're rounding up in their favor.
Right? Is that they were taking fractions of a penny over millions of transactions. Well,
right.
You can guess that the DoorDash founders Stanley Tang, Andy Fang, and Tony Xu grew up on Office Space, because these guys are laughing themselves silly like little evil, Dr. Evils, as they skim off pennies from billions and trillions of transactions. And that's the level that they're getting to in the gig economy globally. We're talking billions of transactions. And so this is the genius of corporate AI. Right? They don't have to exploit humans all the way. They will, but they don't have to even exploit humans all the way. It's a money printing machine. They know what you're going to do next based upon your data better than you do.
But do they?
Yeah, they do. I mean, as far as general consumer behavior, they know what kind of toothpaste you're going to buy. They know
that's pretty easy to model. We've been doing that for decades, even without AI. Right. I mean, we all know that supermarkets put their most figured out in the late 60s that most people make a right-hand turn around the supermarket. You put your most expensive items up front.
But Kroger now has it as over $1 billion separate business selling your data that they have made appear out of acquisitions of Fred Meyer and Safeway and Thriftway. And so Kroger, the biggest grocery in the United States, has data on everybody. They know all the buying patterns. And now this is $1 billion business, Kroger selling your data. It's in my book, chapter 4, Will Corporate AI Kill You? The answer is maybe.
Yes.
Kroger started this business, and now they will sell your data. So let's say a local company wants to know the preferences of women who might get pregnant over the next year. They can get that from Kroger. They can get the addresses. They can get what they've purchased. I mean, you can go to this site from my book, and if you like data, this stuff will blow your mind, because they actually put like some of the general reports that and of course then you buy this consulting, but they put the general reports online. You're talking hundreds of pages of analysis of every single consumer behavior, and we're not talking about some small company here. We're talking about the corporate giant.
Were they able
of consumer groceries?
Were they able to buy out, what was it, Albertson they were looking at or something like that?
They bought Albertsons, yeah. They bought Safeway.
Because now there's literally no one on the West Coast who isn't affiliated with Kroger.
It's it's a monopoly. It's a monopoly. And they tell these towns, we won't shut stores. We're going to acquire every grocery store in your town, but we won't shut any. And then they do, because corporations are allowed to lie. They don't have to tell you the truth. They can tell you.
Why would you compete against yourself if you have to?
Well, look, it's a great scam for anything, for pricing, for price gouging, for sales, for whatever. I mean, consumers think they're price shopping between 3 of your stores and you own them all. That sounds like the gig economy, man.
It is.
Sounds like a money printing machine.
The only thing you don't know is, we'll lose a little on this sale here. Not really.
No, look, man, and now when you go into Kroger, which I personally hate, they have armed guards here in Portland, and
I didn't know that,
and steel gates at all the places. It's like a prison. They like fully tack vest armored guards. That's on my Twitter account. You can go check that out.
Wow.
So right here in Portland, they've got the armed guards and stuff. And so then when you go in this store, let's see, they had security tags on water. That was pretty funny. I never saw that before.
With water prices going up in the West to like $3 a bottle.
Yeah, but this is Oregon. We're not really short on water. One of the things we got going for us is we got water. We're smart on the water. We have a shit economy and we have no rich people, but we got water. So stay tuned. So
You
you
gotta have some
don't
rich people.
right, right. You can invest. So and they are. In fact, the city of the Dalles just turned down a data center from Google that would have been $100 million. It would have provided somewhere around 20 jobs, but Google wanted to put a $200 million data center or whatever in this
How
small
much
town on
water
the
was it
Columbia
taking?
River, and they turned them down. Luckily, because they didn't want Google eating up all their resources and getting huge tax breaks. So the people got a little bit smart. These huge data centers, all this stuff in the gig economy, you can have buildings the size of 10 football fields. They employ 5 people, right?
If that.
Yeah, it does not take a lot of people to run the data center, and people don't know that. So they're
But
giving
what it does
corporate.
take is a lot of water.
It does take a lot of water. It takes a lot of power. It takes a lot
People
of a
don't
lot of things.
realize that the cooling systems are all based on water. They're all heat exchangers that use fresh flowing water. And so 54-degree water comes in, 82-degree water goes out, and you destroy
That's
the
right.
environment.
And so
They
and
wanted to
I've
put
been
one
in
up in
these,
Cayuga, Lake
and
Cayuga, where I live.
right. I was in the high tech industry, the software industry for a number of years, mostly in marketing and management capacities, and people don't realize that with technology, nothing is stable anymore. Everything is so dynamic that it's behind the scenes. It's like the Who song. It all looks fine to the naked eye, but it don't really happen that way at all. And I went inside those data centers, right? And so what these data centers look like. So first of all, they're really interesting. It's just kind of a fun story. So I used to consult with like big companies. I've been to the McDonald's World Headquarters in Illinois. I've been to the Nike World Headquarters. I've been to the Finland, to the Nokia World Headquarters back in the day when they were the muckety mucks of the world. They're not anymore. So when you go to one of these data centers, first of all, they're freaking enormous. Second of all, they have like, I think 2 generally generators that are about the size of, I don't know, giant fire truck or something outside. So they've got like double backup generators. They're not even running. They're just there in case shit goes out. Right. And then there's the regular power inside. And so when you go inside, there's servers anywhere. And then there's a cage, right? A chain link cage, floor to ceiling. On the side, what do you think's in the chain link cage, Connor?
Don't have a clue, no.
Government computers.
Government computers?
Yeah. Government computers are in a fucking cage. You can't even touch them. Pretty cool, right? I mean, it's wild, man.
Well, I thought the government data centers were usually isolated completely from the commercial ones.
Government uses commercial shit all the time. I mean, CIA might have their own. I don't know, but in terms of the Bureau of Labor or whatever, whatever, they're probably using Amazon Web Services or whatever too.
Oh, I know they are, because my brother works for Microsoft and he does a lot of work with them. And yeah, they're using all their cloud. But I thought they had their own.
By the way, I was not a tourist, right? I was like a verified background check, high security entrant into the facility. You don't get into these facilities, right? This was not a public tour. So, but this is the inside of the inside, right? This is the Borg. That was the machine running the world. It was really weird, right? Because you sit there, people think of the internet, but like you can go places and basically like look at it and go, wow, that is the internet. Like that's running Nike's retail business. How big do you think Nike's global retail business is, Connor? I don't know if we can count that. Some numbers of trillions of dollars, right? I don't know. I mean, for retail, I know their corporate value, I think, is over $1 trillion.
I don't think they had reached the $1 trillion mark yet.
I don't know.
I know Apple, they put at $3 trillion recently.
Yeah, I bet Nike.
And I thought Nike was still at 900.
Look, I'm going to look at Nike. Nike Capital.
I thought it was still 500 to 900 billion, somewhere in that range. I mean, it's still the number 1 world shoe producer,
Nike market
and exploiter of children labor,
and Oregon's number 1 public company, my friend.
That's right.
We don't have very many homegrown things. So Nike is at $107 today with a market cap. Oh shit, I suck. Yeah, 168 billion. They're much smaller than I thought.
Oh, man.
Anyway, yeah, I guess maybe I got blinded by capital or billions and trillions.
I
Mean
guess
anything anymore.
selling shoes is just not it, man. You gotta have your DoorDash shoes contract with them.
Yeah, 168 billion. Their world headquarters, by the way, is right down the road from where my dad grew up on a 2-lane highway, right? So it's right down the road, and I've been to their world headquarters, so it's fabulous, right? They've got museum of Michael Jordan. They've got practice fields and playing fields where national teams and NBA stars come and go. They've got an employee store that I used to go to where all the NBA players and people that come to town go and get all your newest Nike gear 50% off because rich people need discounts. And it's wild. So it's Disneyland. They've got different pubs and restaurants from all over the world. So like in the place where you can see like the Michael Jordan basketball in the case and stuff, there's an Irish pub. It's Disneyland for adults. Everybody's running and biking around, but you got to be like super cool and connected to get there. Like just because it employs tons of people, it employs really selective people. It's kind of like you got to really. I mean, it's the golden ticket, right? Just there are a few golden tickets in Oregon. One of them would be Nike.
Really. Never really thought about it. I've never liked shoes that much to care.
Hey, to get where I am right now, guess who you got to drive by? You got to drive by Adidas. Adidas is right here in Portland, Oregon, too. We will cover.
Is the Puma store next across so that the two brothers can fight it out?
We got no Puma. We're not Puma people.
I guess they got that in the divorce. They got Oregon, and Puma. The other brother got what? Maybe Seattle.
Yeah. Well, thanks to one of the Microsoft billionaires, Paul Allen, bought the Portland Trailblazers and built a big stadium. He has passed away now, and his sister inherited the Portland Trailblazers and his billions of dollars. But our wealth in Oregon generally comes from a few high-tech oligarchs that have been around, and the rest of we only have really one big city, that's Portland, right? Everything else is Salem and Eugene got a couple 100,000 people in their area. Everything else is kind of smaller, more rural, which is why Oregon in general is very conservative, except for the big cities that carry the vote, which are very progressive politically.
To a point.
Well, yeah, but see, and that's another thing, right? Since Oregon is essentially a Democratic monopoly, it always has been. Oregon Democrats, a lot of them are really Republicans because nobody would run as Republican. You can't win. So kind of Republican light, there'll be a Democrat like Kurt Schrader, who was in Congress from Oregon forever, who's very conservative, allegedly Democrat, representative.
And also you have the famous, what was that? Ammon Bundy.
Right. Yeah. That was here in Oregon where they took over the wildlife refuge. So we've got, that heavily represents a lot of Oregon, which is rural, agricultural economy, timber economy. And there were a lot of people that supported that effort, while other people were very against it. Oregon's a very divided state, not unlike a lot of areas of the country. And we're not divided necessarily by, state versus state anymore. It's more rural versus urban and suburban, versus rural, and suburban versus urban. And
that might actually benefit you with the AI because it's harder to, infiltrate rural areas with AI. I mean, it just isn't the base. I mean, you can't.
It would have been, but that's where the pandemic did this, pandemic threw Uber and DoorDash to the forefront to where they put, they are not complements to traditional services like taxis or delivery companies. They are a replacement. And so that's one of the things the gig economy doesn't tell you, is that economically the gig economy is a replacement for a legitimate economy, which is why it's not a different economy. It's just a scam. So the gig economy is a replacement. Rideshare is a economic replacement for cabs. Somebody that would have taken a cab before is now going to take rideshare. It's economic replacement for buses and trains. Somebody that might have taken public transportation before might take an Uber Lyft. Now, What are they doing now that they got the monopoly? The prices are going up. It used to be that an Uber or Lyft might be a third of the cost of a taxi, and now it's more than a taxi. So,
well, yeah, but there was a whole lot of chicanery with Uber in the first part.
There's nothing but, Connor.
That's I know, but even more so back then, right? I mean, they were the new kids on the block from the Web 2.0 blow up. There was the whole Web 3 phase,
NKTV,
right?
NKTV.
Yeah. And KTV, and they had all this extra money sitting around that they had to get rid of, right? Otherwise, they're going to get taxed on it. So they started to invest in these companies, and it didn't matter if they lost $66 billion in 10 years because they had 120 still sitting around.
They are losing money. DoorDash.
Oh, they're losing money now. I know. All
DoorDash
the time.
Loses money on every investment. Why would they do that? Because they're establishing a monopoly on a global app slave market. That's what this is. This is a global app slavery market. That's what the gig economy is. And people don't want to believe that. But again, the risk, as we're coming up on this hour, I love that we're keeping this one tight because you and I can go on for hours. Right. But the thing that people have to think of when they think of the gig economy is that it's the end of employment, safety, and sanity as you know it. All of the risk of corporations go upon the most impoverished, deceived, gaslighted workers. And what's going to happen is disaster. It's already happening. You're seeing people getting murdered as drivers. You're seeing customers attacking drivers. You're seeing drivers attacking customers. You're seeing an entire cast of people start to move away from society. That's what the gig economy wants. They want a caste. They want garbage dump pickers, right? They want people picking up cans. They're taking these people out of normal society. They're moving them aside. They're going to give them special banking. They're going to give them special support, counseling. They have their own TV shows. They get their own news, all this stuff. And they want this because they think this is freedom. They're being told this is freedom. You don't have to be in a union. You don't have to be a W-2. You don't have to have a job. You can go have freedom. But this freedom is a lie. Right? You can have the freedom to be a garbage picker for corporate AI. Yes, you can have that freedom. But the problem is that freedom isn't free. That freedom comes with enslavement of your mind and body, and it comes with the destruction of both local and global economies. So it's a bad thing. Much bigger risk than generalized AI right now. Because generalized AI, we can smoke it out because it's not smart. Generalized AI, it's not stupid. No. It's not God. It's not omnipotent. It's actually very, very ignorant. And if you look closely, you can see that ignorance because it's not accurate.
No, I think also though that generalized AI, however, has the advantage of being the more visual one that we see up front, that we interact with every day, and that gives it a great disadvantage because we can see the errors, right? Your app, you don't see any of that because you don't.
Right, you're not isolated, right? Now, if you had generalized AI that was served up to you through an app on a smartphone, we'd be very concerned. Oh. But see, right now, generalized AI is served up on a larger internet basis. But make no mistake about it, if generative AI develops strongly, there will be apps that try to put generative AI in the app. Actually, there's one I already covered. Let me tell you about it very quickly before we end. Sure. A company that is in the mental health business online ran an experiment without informed consent of the people they're experimenting on. And they said, hey, get some human interaction through your chat with our wonderful supportive organization. And so people said, great, we'll log on and do that. And some of them were actually having some type of a human interaction with a real person that was typing back to them, and others were being responded to and advised by AI. That is highly, highly unethical, highly dangerous. That could end very, very badly. This ended shortly, and hopefully they'll get their ass kicked for it, as they should. But this is the kind of thing. So when generative AI. See, even I get lost in this mind puzzle. Generative AI comes out, it can and will be used against you as well. It's just not yet because as you said, the way it's served to us today, we've got a bigger picture. And the whole idea of the gig economy is to give you tunnel vision, right? To obfuscate your vision so that you see none of the world around you. You only see this little bit that they're serving up to you. And that's not reality. Reality TV isn't reality. Apps aren't reality. Artificial intelligence isn't reality. People have to really get a grip now on what is real, what is in the present moment, what is perceivable, what is human, and what is not. Because if you don't, this is an existential threat. Will AI kill you? Possibly. Possibly it will. It possibly could.
Well, I think we're
and your children. Worse yet.
I think we're going to see a really interesting thing playing out in India with the newscasters being used as AI.
That's right. Generated. That's right. We wrote about that yesterday. I think you gave me the heads up on that one. You're one of my great sources of artificial intelligence news, and I always truly appreciate it. So India is using artificial intelligence news readers. I guess you would have called them an anchor before, but no, it's an artificial intelligence news reader that literally reads scripted news. How is that different than a human being? Not much, but I don't know. I mean, if you tried to have a human being say, like, something ridiculous, a human being may go like, I'm not going to say that, like, that Trump is the king of the world. God bless Trump. I'm not going to say that. AI, it'll say anything you want. If you wanted to say that, Joe Biden is God and Donald Trump is the devil, it'll say that too. It doesn't matter. Whatever you program it, it'll say. Now, Portland, Oregon, was in its own news. We love to cover our own news when we break our first, for having for adopting one of the first or the first AI radio stations. So now you can have a AI disc jockey spinning and giving tunes to you. It won't be a music lover like me. It'll just be AI telling you that up next is Journey, Stone in Love from 1977.
I don't know. Maybe it will be, It's pretty creative stuff they could put in, but will the facts be right? I mean,
will they be right? But also, like,
it could say it's Journey, and then all of a sudden it's Deep Purple. It's like, oops, they have that one wrong again.
So one of the less scary parts of AI, but still causing problems, witness the strike in Hollywood, is that I'm sorry. What was I going to say? AI. Oh, I lost it. We were doing so good. Anyway, so AI is a source that can mimic the humans, and once that gets out of your purview, it's no longer controllable. And so that's what makes all of this scary, is that any AI, any corporate AI you interact with, any corporate AI that you allow to be used with your image, with your voice, with anything else, is no longer under your control. It's no longer even under anyone's control, right? So you have a circumstance where somebody can now make revenge porn out of a celebrity or a regular person, and do horrific violations of people's rights. And there is no way to stop this. The people that know are saying we need to call a timeout because humans don't know how to control this. And this is what I try to explain to people, is that we don't know how it works. We don't know how to explain how it works. We can't see the black box that's chewing all this stuff up. And are you going to trust government AI? Are you going to trust corporate AI? Are you going to trust any AI? I mean, I would suggest you don't. I don't know how you could.
No, I would suggest not either. But I mean, it's funny though, as many failings as it has, right? You still hear the experts saying, well, it's in its learning phase. It'll get better.
No, that's not true. It's not learning, and it's not intelligent.
Well, it's not, but I'm just saying, but that's what they're saying. You hear a lot of these pro experts, and it reminds me of, it just seems so interesting that at this time, right, Silicon Valley was getting such a hammering 6 months ago, right?
Yeah.
Everyone was leaving. Everyone was all of a sudden,
silver lining, and it's called corporate AI.
Right. I mean, and is that why they're pushing AI so much?
Well, they're pushing AI because it's the greatest scam in the history of humanity. It's the greatest corporate control, the greatest human control that's ever been possible or programmable by evil people. And so you've got DoorDash, which literally has stone cold, evil, maniacal psychopaths running it. That's who does this type of global organized crime. And so I mean, people are going to have to get smart, because there's the worst bias of all, which is the status quo bias, and people think that because the gig economy is here today, that it has to stay here. And FTX didn't stay, Enron didn't stay. There's a lot of not stayed, right? There's a lot of
Lehman
organizations that were selling humanity down the river. But again, Enron's nothing compared to the gig economy. Nothing. The Enron scam is child's play compared to the scam of the gig economy. The gig economy is printing money and enslaving humans permanently, because once humans get into this pattern, once humans give up all of their assets and control to the corporate world, how are they going to get it back? I mean, the corporations are now financing the cars for the app slaves. So they're literally working for the company store. They're just driving around in it. I owe my soul to the company car. Yeah. I wrote that earlier this year.
That's totally true. I mean, and you see it, but I mean, people like Sam Altman, OpenAI, years ago was always touting the fact that he loved basic income, because essentially it allowed him to become a trillionaire, gave just enough to the bottom end to keep the flow of money always circulating back towards him.
That's right. Now, they can't even manage a fraction of a basic income, so we won't hold our breath on that. But yes, I think it's very illustrative again that.
But he didn't want it. He didn't want the corporation to do the basic income. He wanted the government to do the basic income, so that he could take that money plus the stipend he was getting from his taxes.
So this is the ultimate corporate free rider, is corporate AI, right? Yeah. You use all the assets of the community, you have all the assets of the impoverished worker, and you do it all for free. It's the classic. I mean, it's again the corporate free rider barely even existed compared to to corporate AI. When I was in college studying economics for my undergraduate degree, which was in economics, corporate free rider was polluting our air. A corporate free rider was spilling chemicals into our waterways. That's what our corporate free rider is using our roads and not paying taxes because they're using trucks and rails. Now a corporate free rider is a parasite on the gross activity.
The corporate free rider is actually making the entire market.
Yes, they're now a free rider on the entirety. The absolute entirety of the global market. It's terrifying, man. I mean, this is the thing, and I said it in the start of the book. Researching this, I started a little over a year ago, intensively researching this after I stopped doing activities in the gig economy myself, and I literally screamed out loud every day with what I learned. It's beyond comprehension the level to which the global gig economy, corporate cabal, and scam has manipulated humanity. They've got legislators, they've got states, district attorneys, courts, they've got consumers and app slaves all waving their hands in the air, trying to explain the unexplainable. They're all trying to explain chaos. And what is chaos? Chaos is exactly what Sam Altman did. He introduced a tool to manage AI while he introduced the AI, and then once the AI was introduced, he said the management tool doesn't work anymore. So that was good, right? That was a super smart strategy. So what the gig economy did is they produced all this stuff. They told people it was work, right? And then they're going to the bottom, and they're putting everybody out of business. They're monopolizing these economies. They're actually convincing, because they're propagandizing these. Literally, Tony Hsieh claimed a couple of weeks ago on his broadcast, which is part of my podcast. I reviewed that. He claimed in an interview that there were 13 million Dashers that have been that have done tasks in the United States for DoorDash. I have to be very careful about my semantics, because I never want to call it a job or anything like that. It's not a job. It's a task. It's a deceptive task.
13 million.
Yeah, 13 million. So now we assume that that's really just over like a 3 or 4 year period since the pandemic, really even a 3-year period since they made the acquisition of Caviar and DoorDash became a bigger entity. Sorry, now I'm waving my arms to explain this insanity. So if we look at that and we say, okay, maybe 8 million of them are active now, which is probably 7 million more than are needed. Right. So this is something where they're now propagandizing these millions of people, and they're getting them to literally advocate and demand that this gig economy freedom that they have is maintained and this business model is maintained, because the only other reality they know is an abusive workplace, which they call W-2 work, or they call a legitimate independent contractor like a builder or a tile layer or a plumber or something like that. So they're stuck in this netherworld that they are building, and it's gaining this momentum. Like I said, it's getting its own banking system. It's getting its own apps to aggregate the disaggregated apps of the gig economy. I mean, it's literally insanity. It's chaos. And they have at any given time, because it's corporate AI. This is not like our good old software that I used to release, where we do a release report and we're releasing version 10.2 and we got a release package that goes with all this stuff. Part of the chaos of DoorDash, if you watch, is that even the people that do this task, they call themselves Dashers, they're app slaves, just like I was. They don't I'm sorry, I just lost my train of thought. So the Dashers are out there. They don't even know what to expect from their app. There is no version. There is no updated version from here to here. There is in the app, but not actually in the operations, because corporate AI does automatic testing. While it's doing these 2 million predictions per second, it's also automatically testing you as my little app slave. I'm testing you, and I'm giving you a different look of the interface. I'm presenting dark patterns and switching the buttons from red to clear so that you push the wrong button. I'm testing you in a million different ways. So if you have like 100 different people broadcasting about the DoorDash app, all of them will be talking about different features that are being tested in their area. They don't understand that their area is literally their own human body. Every person is a market of one that's being fleeced and beaten by corporate AI. So this is again that absurdity of people without informed consent being destroyed and enslaved by AI. Is that it's at every single opportunity working in an anti-human exploitative capacity. There is no other way it works. That's it. It's the only way it works. And that's why all of these laws, California Prop 122 and everything else, anything that would make the corporate gig economy and the corporate AI transparent, which means that we can actually see it. We know how it works. It's legitimate. I'm working X number of hours for X number of dollars at this rate. Right? The only thing that would do that would be destroying it. It can't be done. And so it's a riddle. And we're not, and our legislators and regulators are not smart enough to figure out this riddle. They're also paid not to figure out this riddle. This is a global scam. There is no gig economy. There's just the economy stupid.
To quote, what was his name? The guy who
it's the economy stupid. Who said that?
It was the campaign manager for Clinton's
first Carville?
It was Carville, yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Over and over and over.
Skeletor.
That's right.
It's the economy. It's the economy, stupid. Well, it is the economy, stupid. And so the gig economy is a lie. And the more people that know this, they can help protect their family members. They can help protect their kids. Informed consent is really, really important right now, because if people you love or care about go out and get fleeced by corporate AI, bad things are going to happen. They're going to come back to you with no job, no place to live, no car, and no money. That's what happens in the gig economy.
Yes, that's very true. That's very true.
Thank you, Connor, so much.
Well, thanks again, Jeff. We're going to have to cut this down because I have
Oh,
to go on to an important meeting. But
I
thank
love
you.
it. I'm about to go outside and enjoy the beautiful Oregon sunshine. This was a
You
great way
enjoy
to
that.
spend lunchtime.
It's great. Well, thanks again. Have a great afternoon. I hope it was very informative, and I hope everyone has a better understanding of AI now.
All the best, everybody.
All right. Bye.